are the first chef that I speak to
Oh,
on
wow.
Retreat Builder. Hmm.
Okay.
It's exciting. I love food, so we're gonna talk about food.
Yeah.
But first, I want to ask you. I saw on your website that you run an art center in Haiti, which is very different than being a chef. So, how are
Yes.
you also an artist, like a painter?
Yes. I started out as an artist and I took a bit of a lifestyle change after I left Haiti, and ended up using some of my creative skills, I guess, in cooking.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes a. I mean, food is also very visual.
It's certainly, as they say, that you eat with your eyes first. And I think that's why. So I took this lifestyle change and I ended up getting on a boat. And in order for me to have this job on a boat, I started as the stewardess, but then they wanted me to cook. So I said, sure, I will give it a go. And I soon discovered that I had a bit of a passion for this. And on boats, you have like quite a high standard. So it is all about the presentation. And I think that's where my artistic background came in helpful because
Mhm.
then I got to, not only cook with amazing produce, but I got to throw in some artistic flavor.
Okay, so you started like on private ships or on cruises or what kind of a boat?
Private yachts. Yeah,
Oh,
started on
very
a
nice.
really beautiful sailing boat, and I was so
Mm.
naive. I did no idea how lucky I was to have landed that job. Um, but I needed it because my time in Haiti was quite the best and the worst times of my life, should we say. And yeah, I was at a complete loss when this lifestyle change occurred. And so I got super lucky and ended up on this beautiful sailing boat, sailing
Wow.
all around and discovering that I had this passion within me to cook.
Wow. And how long ago was this?
Oh, 13, 14 years ago, maybe
Okay,
more. Yeah.
a bit of time then.
Yeah.
Wow, and before that, you had never really known that you had this passion for food or cooking?
I had an amazing husband and partner who did all the cooking. So I just ate. I love food. I've always loved food. And I was very, very spoiled and had somebody cook for me all the time.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I didn't really know that I had it within me. I mean, I would have said that I didn't have any confidence back then to believe that I could cook. Um, but yeah, I think if you start off with a love for food, you can't help getting curious, and inevitably you're going to learn how to cook on it or manage it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Mm,
I'm not trained myself, but just wanting to eat delicious things myself, I start getting creative because I want to eat something good.
exactly, exactly. It's good you're not held back and you get in there and you
Oh
get
yeah,
creative.
I
Good. That
do.
makes me happy to
I
hear
get
that.
it. So I know you also have. Okay, wait. Let me back up. So now you're running retreats, and part of that is cooking. So how did you get from being on these private yachts cooking to leading your own retreats?
Yes, well, I did enter the private yachting a little bit later in life. So I think it's quite challenging to be on the move all the time, especially to be cooking on a sailing boat as well. So I don't know if you've ever been sailing, but the boats heel over and it's exhausting just traveling all the time. It is a wonderful lifestyle, but yeah. So there came a time where I felt I needed to get off the boat and get more land-based. And then I got very lucky again, and I started cooking ashore in private villas, and for very wealthy and high net worth individuals.
Mhm.
Um, the retreat just came out of, I'm going to say it started with my art center experience, with my passion for bringing artists together from different countries to work with local artists and to see the amazing, oh gosh, fruits that came out of these exchanges. Uh, so I think that it was always inevitable that I would have to have had that back in my life, and it just sort of fused well with my newfound love, which was in cooking, and then later I became a health coach just because I got really interested in nutrition and really passionate about sharing that knowledge with people. But I wanted to again make this space and this place where people could come together and have these fantastic connections formed and have a supportive environment for people to have some growth. So before it was
Yeah.
in art, but now it was in personal growth and in, wellness, so to speak.
Mhm. So initially the retreats were for artists, or the audience and the community were artists.
Yes. So when I was living in Haiti, I was running these types of events. The the art center was about helping the local artists, and one way to do that was to expand their knowledge. And it was very hard for the artists to get out the country. So we started bringing uh, um, foreign artists into the country so that they could learn from each other. Um, so the the kind of events were, I'd say they were kind of similar to retreats. They were workshops where artists came together. Um, I also ran an artist residency program. So this was an opportunity for artists to come and just do art, a bit like when you go on retreat, you just do you, don't you? You just
Mhm.
focus on yourself. So it was about just making the space for artists to do what they loved and to be supported, nurtured, nourished, have everything they needed to let their creative juices flow. And it's kind of, I think it's similar to retreats. Now I run just purely about wellness. I always add a little creative element. I can't help that. It's within me. But yeah, it's for me, I think it's quite similar. Here it's the same thing, providing a space, taking care of you, nurturing you, nourishing you, giving you what you need so that your priorities can surface, your what you need deep inside you can come to the surface, so you know how to move forward in your life.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I totally get those nourishing, nurturing vibes from you. And yeah, and I think food, one of the things that my husband and I always say whenever we make something that's both delicious and healthy, and it just feels like it gave us what we needed, when we finish, we look at each other and we're like, that was so nourishing, you know? Like, because especially when you're doing when you're working on yourself, the body, the mind, all of it, it uses up energy and it requires fuel, and what you put in it is so important. And when you
Oh,
do it with that intention and energy of being nourished and nurturing, it's like you can feel it, and your body almost says, "Yeah, thank you, that was
I
delicious."
oh, it's amazing hearing that. I love to hear that because it's so true, isn't it? It's so true. Just we are what we eat, and we are food is so much more, I think, than people realize. It's so much more. So it's always such a pleasure to, I don't know, to spill a bit of that passion or to
Mhm.
to prepare food for others and show people that it's it's not as hard as we lead ourselves to believe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I thought were really difficult are actually really easy. It's just a matter of learning, and that's why. what really drew me to what you're doing with your, I mean, other than the fact that the locations are also delicious, like it, cooking in Provence and Italy, and were you in Scotland and then
Yeah.
Portugal also? Like, I'm already salivating just because I know the types of foods. And then you told me that you do healthy versions of these, right? But teaching people, not just cooking for them, but like, let me empower you to do it yourself.
Oh, yeah, because it really is a lot easier than we are led to believe. And so many of us are held back because we just don't have any confidence. But if you can see how easy it is, I think then you'd be more inclined to do it. And it's so important for us to know what we are putting into our bodies. It's so important now more than ever. Um, and to eat healthily is really quite simple. And yeah, I just really want to share that with people and make them see how easy it can be, and to take that fear away of a lot of people are really frightened. I mean, I can tell you love cooking, you love food, so it's probably second nature for you to get in the kitchen and have some fun, but a lot of people are held back because they just don't think. It's the same as art. Or I can't draw. If whenever I do the creative element in the retreat, it's so funny how everybody's like, "Oh, I can't draw," and that, all these kind of barriers. And I never do anything that's gonna set them up for failure. So it's simple little steps that show people, oh, actually, I created that and it wasn't difficult. I think the way to go.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that time has caused us, or thinking that we don't have enough of it has caused us to shut down our creative juices and just optimize for time. Like, okay, I have 10 minutes to eat. What can I throw together? Or, oh, I don't have enough time. I need to go and buy something because I just don't have time. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Oh, it's so true what you're touching on here, this time story. It is so true. It always boils down to that. I don't have time. I don't have time just to pause and give myself a moment. I don't have time to cook a healthy meal, or I don't have time to like let those creative juices flow. It is so true. And in fact, none of these things really need to take a lot of time, but what you get back from it is so huge, isn't it? So, isn't it worth just investing this little moment in time? And what is time anyway? If we could just get our heads around that and realize that we're in control of time, time is not actually in control of us. I think that would be the first step. But if you can take, and it literally can take, and I'm testing this all the time on myself. How long can I prepare something delicious? Let me see, can I get this done in under 15 minutes? Just because I know that time is always the big thing.
Yeah.
And you can put 15 minutes, you create something absolutely delicious. You know exactly what's gone in it. And you know that all those foods, once they go inside your body, into your cells, are going to repair and regenerate. And the whole catalyst from that is ultimately going to give you more energy. You'll be more productive. You'll be more focused. I mean, I'm simplifying it a lot now, but essentially that is what can happen if you nourish yourself correctly for 15 minutes. I think it's worth it. If you're going to have a whole bunch of advantages that you can, have in your life, in your daily life, for a 15 minutes investment. It's, yeah, we've got to get over this story of like, we have to create more time, change our mindset about that.
It's true. And if you think, because I have timed myself in the process of ordering food and going to pick up the food or the delivery and all that stuff, thinking that, oh, this is going to be better because I can just call, I can do the thing, and then I can get back to work. And then I'll just pick it up. And really, it ends up being either the same amount of time to do the same thing, or sometimes it's a little bit more, especially if there's picking up involved. Like you have to go, you have to get in your car or your Vespa or whatever it is, go to the place, pick it up, make the payment. Like all of that, you could have made something in the same amount of time.
This is so true. I might have to borrow that and put it
Yeah.
out there because we never think of that. It's so true. It's how we prioritize things though. And I think it again boils down to, oh, I'll never be able to make something in that time. But you won't know till you try. It's
Hmm.
it's the same with people going on retreat, Oh, I don't have time to give myself 3 days or 2 days or whatever, sometimes even one day. I don't have time. But we honestly, I think it's how we prioritize things. But I totally love what you've just said about, yeah, it is so true. It would take you the same amount of time. And I mean, if we don't make these priority changes, I think the consequences are actually so much worse. If you don't if you don't eat correctly, you're not fueling your body correctly, ultimately what's going to happen? Something's going to crack. Your immune system will go down, you'll end up being unwell. So then what? Now you lose 2 days, 3 days because you're now sick in bed. It's the same if you don't take a voluntary retreat and say, I'm going to give myself this time for myself to allow myself to be nurtured and nourished, allow myself to prioritize my needs. You, we're always putting it off. And then what happens? You have a
Hmm.
burnout and you spend 3 days in a bed because you're totally burnt out. We have
Yeah.
to prioritize. And so, yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness.
Oh my gosh, I love these quotes. I honestly do because it's so true. It's the other one that I love is we have 99 problems until we have a health problem, then we only have the one.
Oh,
We,
wow.
yeah, I think we have to keep saying these
Yeah.
to people so they can realize.
And I mean, you could argue that, anything could, oh, I have this one friend that was so healthy and he ate so well and exercised every day. And then he got sick. I mean, it's just one aspect, because there are so many different aspects to wellness, and which is why I'm sure your retreats are not just about cooking, but about wellness in general. Like stress is the silent killer. But if there are steps that you can take to eliminate it happening from this aspect and this aspect, then you're helping yourself in the long run.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It is a holistic approach for sure. And like you say, food is one element, but rest, getting good sleep, learning to breathe correctly, hydrating yourself and drinking enough water and taking time to, just calm our minds. Yeah. I think all these practices need to be integrated into our daily routine. Absolutely.
I agree. So I have a question about daily habits. So let's say you have somebody who doesn't cook, and they're met with that like deer in headlights that you mentioned. They're like, okay, we're gonna cook a meal, and they're like, cook? I don't cook. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to boil water. So how would you what would you tell them? What are some steps they can take to start building healthy cooking habits slowly?
Yeah, I think start small and first get a little bit mindful about food, full stop. You know, um what's the reason that you want to eat something healthy? And I think that you could start very simply by just incorporating, or at least noticing what you're already eating and how, if it's not great, how you can swap out some changes. You mentioned habits, and habits really are repetitions, aren't they? So I think the first habit would be to really notice what it is you are eating and making some simple changes. So incorporating more whole foods into your diet. If you're really worried about preparing something, start small. Like think about a smoothie, for instance. Smoothie is quite easy to become aware of what's going into it, and then it's
Mm.
literally blitzing it and then drinking it, which doesn't take very long, but you're in control of the ingredients that you're adding into the smoothie. And I think maybe that could be one little habit that you could just start with and build it from there. I mean, making a salad is pretty easy if you can overcome the chopping of the
Yeah.
ingredients, and then finding, once you know the basics of putting a dressing together, and then
Oh,
allowing, yeah, you,
please
you're going,
continue. But
oh no,
yeah, we're good.
just allowing the curiosity and the fun to come into it, because I mean, honestly, some of the best dishes comes out of disasters in the kitchen. So just being gentle with yourself and letting yourself explore and seeing what works and what doesn't, you know?
Yeah,
You got
I think
excited
that's
about something there. What was it?
yes. Well, first when you said the smoothie, I didn't realize because I haven't made smoothies in a while, but I realized that's kind of where I started because, like you said, it was easy.
Yeah,
That's just like, okay, let's just throw a bunch of things in here, hit the blend button, and then you're done. Um, and salads. I've been wanting to get better at making salads, and I have been a lot better. I feel like salads are just, you just throw a bunch of stuff that you like on top of greens. But the dressing, when you said dressing, this is the stage that I'm at right now. I remember at one of the retreats we did in Jico, Veracruz, in Mexico.
wow.
Uh, th- there was a girl named Evie there, and she cooks amazing vegan food, and she says that her mom or her grandmother said the most important ingredient in any recipe is the sauce, la salsa, no? And
Yeah,
I'm like, if you have the right dressing or you have the right sauce, it can make anything taste spectacular.
yeah.
But how do you make really good sauce? That's where I'm stuck currently.
Oh, okay. It is so true. The sauces can be everything to a dish. And yeah, I am how to make a really good sauce. I think if you're having a sauce for your salad, then you'd want to just factor in the fat, the acid, the sweet and the savory, and then the spices um on top of that. And that's basically the basic structure. So once I
Yeah.
think you learn the structure of any type of sauce, this is just for salads, obviously, then I think you're off, because then okay, I got to have this element, this element, this element, and this element, and that will make it. How I tweak it is up to my personal choice, so that also nice because you can make it just the way you like it. And then of course it expands into other, you mentioned salsas or pestos, or more creamier sauces to go with warmer foods, warmer dishes. Yeah, if you just get the elements, there's always a little formula in there somewhere. And once you got that down, you're off.
You know what's really been helpful? The strangest place I have been getting my sauce recipes from ChatGPT.
Oh, it's amazing, ChatGPT, for what it's churning out now. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I tell it, look, I have a lemon, I have olive oil, I have balsamic, I have mustard, I have honey, this is everything I have. What
Yeah.
can I make? And then it gives me a recipe and it's amazing. And I'm like, wow. I think it's the first time I learned how to make a roux, the
Oh, yeah.
pasta, the cream
Yeah.
sauce for wow, changed my life.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that because this is a great tool that there's no excuse now not to get in there and just give it a go. You just
Yeah.
have to ask ChatGPT and you're off. And I love that you can just mention the list of ingredients. It really is no excuse now for people not to be putting in some proper nourishment into their bodies.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, you have cooked, chefed privately. So you have been in situations where you are the one doing all of the nurturing. And then I like that in your retreats, you also have these community cooking where everybody's learning and everybody's cooking together. Can you share some of the differences and what you like the most and why?
Oh, I love, I like the community experiences so much because everybody brings their own knowledge, their own experiences to the table, and everybody's got something to share. So it is a great opportunity for us to learn from each other. Um, it's a special connecting time as well, and then we can't ignore the fact that we have certain hormones that are released when we are eating and sharing food, and in these situations of being around food and cooking together. So I think that combination is very, yeah, dear to my heart because I just have a lot of fond memories of people sharing, what their grandmothers taught them or what they learned, and giving tips. And there is always an opportunity to learn something new. So I love that because I love to continually keep learning myself, but I see that other people do as well to gain something from that. And then the effort that goes into it and the love. I mean, I'm researching a lot more now into the energy around
Hmm.
food. I won't go into it now, but I think it's absolutely something to be said for the intentions, the feelings, the emotions we have when we are touching and working with food. So it can be a very, very healing little scenario. It's very
Mhm.
special. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I do love cooking for my private clients, and that's always keeps me on my toes. But I love to cook, prepare food for people and all of that. But yeah, it's that communal coming together moments that are magic.
Yeah, it's a nice bonding time.
Mm, yeah,
Do you find
definitely.
that people, when they eat the food that they have made, eat differently or experience the food differently?
I think they definitely experience it differently. Yeah, I think definitely there's, yeah, so much
Yeah.
more appreciation as well. So I guess the gratitude thing comes in, and I mean, we all know that the more we're grateful for things, the more these things come into our
Mhm.
life. Well, I certainly experience that. So.
Yeah. I'd love to know more about the energetics of food if you want to go into that. Do you remember this movie? Oh, I don't remember what it was called. I think it was with Michelle Gellar. It was like in the 90s where she was a chef and her whenever she was happy, her food tasted amazing, and whenever she was sad, it was like it was awful. You remember that movie?
It rings a bell. It does ring a bell. Yeah, and I know that there's been lots said about this, but I've sort of just sparked an interest to go deeper now, so I can't speak a lot about it, which has been inspired by a couple of my peers who are looking into water and the energy of water, and and then we started getting into conversations about food as well. But it's definitely not a new thing. I mean, just what you've said in that film that was in the 90s, it's kind of always been there in the back, hasn't it? You need to put love in the food, otherwise it's going to taste bitter. You know? And so I think throughout all my cooking career, I've always been conscious about that. But I wouldn't mind going now to start looking for that scientific evidence that people want, because I'm sure there's been studies done on it. So that's what I'm in search of now.
Yeah. I mean, like the Dr. Emoto water experiment is a great example of
Mm,
the effect of the, I guess it's frequency and energy put together, making
yeah,
the different shapes.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of food is actually liquid based. So, it has a water content, let's say, not liquid based, has a water content. So
Yeah.
surely it can apply.
Hmm. What about singing while cooking or music while cooking?
I think into whatever great mood and whatever
Mhm.
it takes is the way to go. So
Yeah.
honestly, when you get in your kitchen and you want to throw some tunes on, you want to sing along, the more joy, the more happiness there is around food, I think the better it's going to be, the better it's going to taste. And well, if there's anything behind this energy, it's going to be more nourishing.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so wait, tell me about your retreats. Which is the one that's coming up?
So we have a little weekend getaway in Porto, which is in March. And that's going to be touching on Ayurvedic food, Ayurvedic,
Mm.
yeah, Ayurvedic practice around food. It's it's not going to be a fully immersive retreat. It's really, I think the idea is for people who are unsure about if they want to do a full retreat experience, so they can
Mhm.
just kind of put their toes in, and we'll have some yoga and breath work to start the day, a beautiful Ayurvedic brunch. We're going to have an Ayurvedic workshop so people can learn a bit about that approach. There's so many different approaches to food and diets, and I think that we need to kind of educate ourselves on as many as we can, and then make up our own mind what works best for us. So I do
Yes.
love to offer different approaches. And then there will be free time to go and explore this beautiful city. And there's a couple of excursions, food and art excursion, and a sustainable clothing or fashion tour is going to happen as well. So
That's cool.
yeah, I'm excited for it because I'm hoping that it's going to tap into I don't have time for a retreat. It's going to, if you maybe present it differently, like what about a weekend getaway?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then people will come away and see, oh yeah, I've got time to, do a lot of the retreat experience, but still have time to go and explore and allow their curiosity to flourish. And so that's the next one.
Mhm.
After that, we've got cooking in Provence, which is, yeah, I
When
know
is that one? So I
that
can put
one's,
it in my calendar now.
that one is in the beginning of May. Beautiful
Okay.
time in Provence, spring, the poppies should be out in the field, lots of delicious produce in the markets. And so, yeah, we'll be definitely doing market trips, farm trips. We're going to go and visit a couple of farms, select our
With
produce.
goats?
Yeah, there is a goat farm, so we will be getting some goat's cheese.
Oh
And
my God. Have you ever tasted goat's milk? I'm sure you have
I
tasted
have,
goat's milk.
yeah, yeah,
It's so delicious. I love
yeah,
it so much.
yeah, and
Anyway.
it's there's a lot of health benefits. So yeah, so the food is going to be healthy with, of course, I'm going to incorporate the wonderful, lovely, delicious French aspects, but we're going to take a healthy stance on everything. And we'll be doing cooking workshops where we'll cook together and then we'll eat those under two beautiful olive trees on the terrace outside the
Wow.
farmhouse, which is set in the middle of a vineyard. So, of course, there will
Wow.
be a little bit of a wine tour or vineyard tour, a little bit of wine tasting. It's, yeah, and time to rest. And we'll be starting the day with breath work and meditation. So,
That's amazing. And
yeah.
did you have one in Italy, or was that last
Mm.
year that passed already?
Yes, I've had several in Italy and Tuscany. Very,
Mhm.
very nurturing place is Tuscany. Very beautiful. So the next Tuscan one will be in July, and it's going to be in a monastery. So I've changed the venue. Found this absolutely amazing renovated 13th century Augustinian monastery that's tucked away in this absolutely stunning part of Tuscany in the northern provinces with 50 acres of chestnut trees. So we're
Wow.
going to go foraging on the property. There's a river not very far away, so we'll be going and doing some river dipping. That's going to be yoga and breath work, which will be morning and evening. Again, plenty time to rest. And if you want to try your hand at pasta making, we've got a pasta chef going to come and teach us how to make pasta. And the venue is an artist as well, so we'll be doing a little bit of pottery.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow, your retreats sound amazing, and I love how each of them are so different.
Yes, try to keep it interesting because I get a lot of clients that want to come back, a lot of guests they want to return. So if there's something new for them
Yeah,
to do, it'll keep them interested. And we
I
love
love
our
that.
community, so we want to make it fun for them.
And you're based in Europe, so are your retreats predominantly around the area?
They are, but I am from South Africa, and my heart still yearns for the African bush. So I do have a retreat in South Africa. It's a bush to beach experience happening next September. We're going to start in the bush and then traverse up to Mozambique and go onto those beautiful white sandy beaches and visit the islands just off the bay, off the coast, sorry. And that will be, yes, we'll be doing breath work and TRE exercises at the end of the day, but it's really about connecting to yourself through nature, and you can't get any closer than going on safari, walking in the
Wow.
African bush. So
What is
absolutely.
TRE?
Trauma
Did you say
release
T?
exercise.
Oh,
Mm. So that's at the end of the day, stretching and getting rid of, our bodies hold on to trauma and just stretching everything out and releasing, getting ready for a good night's sleep.
wow, that sounds. How long have you been doing retreats?
Oh, with the wellness aspect for 3 years, 4 years, and then before, as we spoke earlier, it was more artist inclined. So
Yeah.
maybe in total 10 years experience on these type of events,
Wow.
but the retreats you're looking at now, 3, 4 years. Yeah.
Wow. They're amazing. I'm literally like, I mean, I know my mouth is not literally on the ground, but energetically it is.
Oh, that's so funny.
Wow. Wow. So amazing. And you're doing 4 retreats a year
Next year.
right,
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
Is it your first year doing 4?
Yes, it is. So, but they're all getting lots of interest. So I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
bet.
sure they're definitely all going to happen.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
how do you, I mean, do you have any advice for people who are maybe doing 1 retreat a year and they're wanting to do 4? Like, how do you get to the place where you can do 4 a year?
Oh, you have to be pretty tenacious, and you got to have a yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking. So you have to, because you invest a lot in your time, your energy, and yeah, you've got to be pretty or crazy. You could be crazy. Like, I'd say start with one, get that one good, and then repeat that one and see if it repeats well. Maybe twice a year. I think it's quite ambitious going for four. So I mean, it's always in the back of my mind the whole time. Am I going to fill them? Is it going to work? Um, but if you have a driving passion and I don't know, you love what you do, then it kind of does come easily. You know, I I just you said how to get there, and I don't want
Mm,
to be recommending taking that route until I can be, until I can prove that I've done the four. So that's why I'm holding back a bit from answering the question because
yeah. I like that though. And I like that even though you've been doing this for 10 years and with the wellness aspect for about 3 to 4 years, you still say, I wonder, am I going to fill them? And it's it's very human and very also comforting because a lot of people have those worries.
yeah,
It's kind of like that thing you hear people say that nobody knows what they're doing. Really, everybody's just guessing. And I do think there's amount of wisdom, knowledge, and experience that you do gain that help you along the way, obviously. But then there's always this aspect of, you know, the things you don't control, right?
yeah.
And so you just have to flow with it.
That would be my advice. Thank you so much, Crystal. Yes, you actually the wise one here. That is the advice, to have that space to be like, I can't control everything. I'm gonna do the best I can, put all my intention into it, but to also have the ability to go, okay, it, you know, I can't control it all, I think is the way to move forward should you want to do four retreats. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they sound amazing, so I hope they all happen so that I
Mm.
can try and make it to at least one of them.
Oh my gosh, it'd be such an honor and a pleasure to have you join us. So I hope that you make
Yes.
it to one of them.
The honor would be all mine. Believe me. Um, yeah. Wow. Okay, so is there anything else you want to mention or say about the retreat experience?
No, I just think the world needs more retreats, and I think people need to go on retreats. I honestly can't believe the the transformations I witnessed from people coming from a very scared place to take the plunge, to give themselves a bit of time to go away with a bunch of people they don't know and to not know what the food is going to be like either. It's a concern. People are like, sometimes they bring little snack bags because they're a little worried about
Oh,
what the
wow.
food's going to be, but then they never eat them because the food always ends up being more than their expectations. So I think that, yeah, when people leave after a few days of, giving themselves some time and space, being in a supportive environment and being, led by the right people, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see how they leave and how they go forward in their life. And I've seen people come back again and again, and they just keep growing. It's wonderful. It's yeah. So back to it, I think yeah, anybody thinking about doing retreats should do it, and anybody thinking about going on a retreat should absolutely do it.
Mhm. And what about you? Do you have a question? Maybe a question I've been calling the retreat gods or like the retreat expert. If you could ask them anything, what would it be?
Oh, that's what would it be? I guess it's probably be the same question I'm always asking, which is how to better serve people, how to make the experience even better. That's what I would like to ask the retreat guards. How can I improve my services and make it even better?
I love that. You know what? A lot of people are asking that exact same question,
Is that
which,
so? Okay.
yeah, which makes me feel like we have a lot of very humble and service-oriented retreat leaders, which is great. That's exactly what retreat leaders or hosts should be, just wanting to share and be of service and get better each time.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's it's a very special place, retreats, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate. Well, we've finished this interview. I want to thank you for being here and sharing all of your wisdom and delicious food chats.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Krystal, and I want to compliment you on what you're creating. It's it's a fabulous space and yeah, really much needed space. So thank you so much. From my perspective, I'm thrilled to see what you're growing.